But, I knew the mission really well, and I knew my crew members, and they knew me. And it certainly is one thing that, Gabby would have wanted me to do if she was involved in the decision. Unfortunately, at the time, it was really hard for her to, express what she was thinking about the flight. So ultimately, I did make the decision to go back. It made that period of time in my life rather difficult. On the third day of the mission, literally while I was rendezvousing with the space station, she was having brain surgery. So it was
challenging time.
It was challenging. It was challenging from a compartmentalization standpoint. The ability to focus on what's important now and forget your personal life.
Sure.
And it was a tough time, but the mission went off great. We got everything done. We got that $2 billion cosmic particle detector attached to the space station, and it's working and producing some significant amount of data that are being analyzed as we speak.
Absolutely. And tell me just a little about the alpha magnetic spectrometer that you brought up to the space station.
Well, in my opinion, this is certainly the most significant scientific experiment that the space station has or will ever have. It is if listeners out there have heard of the Large Hadron Collider, which is a super collider which breaks apart atomic particles to look at what those are made of, this is kind of like the test section of that instrument. So it's got the similar kind of sensors, and it's examining the background radiation. It's examining the particles that are flying through space, and it's looking specifically for antimatter. In the beginning of the universe, because the universe was created out of a vacuum, it was assumed, or is assumed by physicists, that there should have been equal amounts of matter and antimatter. For all the matter, there should be antimatter, because it came out of nothing. Well, we don't know what happened to all the antimatter. It may be out there somewhere, but we're not sure where it is. And we haven't actually detected naturally occurring antimatter. So that's one of the big things that AMS is looking for. Would be a pretty remarkable result if it was able to discover that antimatter actually exists naturally in the universe. We can make it. It can be made in a super collider. Only lasts for microseconds.
Sure, great. And obviously we know that space matters. So the Space Shuttle obviously a tested and proven space vehicle. What's next for NASA? You kind of touched base on that. What type of vehicle is it going to take to continue that natural human quest of space exploration?
Yeah, so right now we've got nothing. I mean, we rely on the Russians to get up and down to the space station. That is not an ideal situation by any measure. It's really not where we want to be, but it is. The Soyuz is a reliable spacecraft. We've got a lot of folks that have flown on it, including my brother. And but we need to build something else. So the program we have currently is called this Commercial Crew Program, and there's a bunch of companies out there, notably SpaceX, Sierra Nevada, Blue Origin's, X-Corps, that are trying to give us this capability back to launch people into space. And you got to give SpaceX a lot of credit out there. They've launched and rendezvoused with the International Space Station, brought cargo to the space station. More importantly, they were able to successfully bring cargo home, which the Russian space agency can't even do. The progress burns up in the atmosphere. SpaceX is able to deliver cargo to and from the space station, which is a very important step in delivering people to and from the space station, and hopefully sooner rather than later, SpaceX will be on its way to delivering cargo, or to delivering people to and from the ISS.
Right.
So we're, full disclosure here, I serve on their safety advisory panel, but I think they've done some pretty remarkable things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Any final words on Endeavour as she makes her last trip in the air?
Final word. Well, tell the pilots when they land, it would be great if they could fly over Tucson so Gabby and I could see Endeavour. It's on the way to L.A. I don't even think they have to go out of the way. That
would be great. Well, any plans to visit once she gets to L.A.?
Absolutely. I'm supposed to be there. Now, I don't know if the schedule's changed, but I was there for another event the same time Endeavour was supposed to be moving through the streets of L.A. to the California Science Center, so I was planning on being there and seeing that. But with the weather delay, I don't know if that's changed. So I'll have to find out in the next week or so.
Right. Well, we're coming up on almost a year from October 1st. That's actually when you retired from the U.S. Navy as captain in the Navy and NASA as an astronaut. 25 years in the Navy, 15 years at NASA, correct?
Yes, something like that, yeah.
So I guess that was the last flight also for you as an astronaut, but also as a Navy captain.
That was it. That was the last time I flew anything in the Navy. Was landing the space shuttle on June 1st of last year. And I actually hadn't flown an airplane until this last weekend at the Reno Air Races. So it was over a year, and it's something I want to get back into.
Great. Well, Endeavour flew 25 missions, 299 days in orbit, 4,671 orbits, of which you flew 2 missions, 27 days in orbit, 434 orbits. I did my math. Thank you, Mark, for taking time out there in Tucson to talk with us on such a momentous occasion. And thank you for your service to our country and our space program. And please give our best to Gabby.
I will do that. Great talking to you, Amico. Have a great day.
Great. You as well.
Bye.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, we're getting live coverage of the Space Shuttle carrier aircraft carrying aboard at the youngest space shuttle of the Space Shuttle fleet, Endeavour, as it performs its low flyover across the city. Meanwhile, folks have gathered around at Ellington Field to spot the shuttle as it arrives. Followers on social media can peruse through images that are being posted as well as post their own photos. Just use the hashtags Spot the Shuttle or OB105, the Endeavour's designation. This is Mission Control Houston. We are bringing to you here on NASA Television live coverage of the Space Shuttle carrier aircraft carrying Endeavour for its final ferry flight before it makes its final wheel stop in California at the California Science Center in Los Angeles. Space Shuttle Endeavour is making its final flight piggyback atop the shuttle carrier aircraft 747 on its cross-country ferry flight to the California Science Center in Los Angeles. The trip was originally planned to take off on Monday. It was delayed 2 days due to bad weather along the flight route, but it is now in the air and here in the Houston area. The aircraft carrying Endeavour began its ferry flight from the Kennedy Space Center at 6:22 a.m. this morning. It had flown south along the coast with a turn back north above the Indian River for one final low pass along Florida's Space Coast before making its way here to the Houston area. Now getting live view of the Space Shuttle Endeavour flying atop that Space Shuttle carrier aircraft as it flies over NASA's Johnson Space Center. This is Mission Control Houston again. We're getting live coverage of the shuttle carrier aircraft carrying Endeavour as it flies just across the NASA Johnson Space Center. This is Mission Control Houston. We are watching again live coverage of the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Flying atop a Space Shuttle carrier aircraft that is making its way across Houston and the Clear Lake area. Just seen spotted here flying over NASA Johnson Space Center. It was spotted here in the Houston area just before the top of the hour with a low flyover, various landmarks here in Houston. It'll make its passes across the Houston and Clear Lake area before it lands at Ellington Field, where it will park overnight before departing tomorrow morning to begin its second leg of its road trip to California, where it will reside at the California Science Center in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, we had interrupted today's ISS update to bring to you this live coverage of Endeavour, but meanwhile the space station crew where the space station is flying, also flying at an altitude of a little more than 260 statute miles. They're just making a southeastern track across the South Atlantic Ocean. Meanwhile, we're getting live coverage of the Endeavour space shuttle as it performs a flyover across the Houston and Clear Lake area.